Really, our mission is bringing family and friends around the table. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of At the Table with Ryan Lane. I can't even this is one of those fanboy moments. So even though we've had several conversations and talked throughout the years, this guy right here has been actually a lot responsible for the growth of Lanes and not just directly, but indirectly too, and just the way that he treats customers and the way he ran his business. And so, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but Ray Carnes with Recteq Grills. So, man, I'm telling you what, this is so exciting for me. When we started talking through text after we announced that we were doing it, you're like, I'll come up. And I'm like, dude, we will come to you. It doesn't matter. Man. We just want to have a conversation. So I remember what's crazy is the day we launched our seasonings. It was Memorial Day, 2015. And we happened to be in Evans, Georgia at, what's that, barbecue festival.
Banjo Q.
Banjo Q.
That's right.
Yes, and your whole crew was there. And I remember thinking, who are these guys?
Yeah, we show out at that. It's our local event, so
we have
to
out.
show out.
And I remember one of my fraternity brothers knew Jody really well. And
okay.
He's like, you got to come meet. And I came over and met you guys. And I remember going back and I was like, we need to hang out with them.
Yeah.
There was just something magical. We always talk about that secret sauce, magical about it. So thank you so much for driving.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so. We're excited to have you. And looking forward to the conversation. What you been up to?
Nothing, man. Just working, running Recteq, and I have a couple other irons in the fire, but just having a little fun.
That's awesome.
Doing my thing, man.
That's cool. That's cool. What is the most exciting thing you're doing right now? And then we can kind of get to the early days.
I guess right now we're, I've got this distillery called Second City Distillery, and we're making some ready to drink products, and we're bringing some new products to market. We have got some vodka and a transfusion, which is vodka, grapefruit, and ginger ale, and we're making some a margarita. Well, we have a margarita that's called our margarita mix with vodka, and we call it. Heck, I can't even remember our name. We're going to change it to a vodka sour.
Okay.
But anyhow, we've just
but it's like a pre-mixed thing.
Pre-mixed in the can. It's kind of the new.
Tell me about the bourbon creams.
Oh, the Crooked Cow.
Crooked Cow. That's it.
We've got
saw that. And
they are incredible, especially people are loving them for their coffees after dinner. But they're we have a peanut butter, a coffee cream, a peaches and cream, and then caramel.
Okay.
So they're just amazing. They're really good sipping bourbon, and they also go great with actually recipes. Chef John does a lot of desserts.
Yeah.
He actually uses them on the Recteq as well. So
that's why I can't wait to talk about those three guys. Those three guys, like John, Greg, and Jody, are amazing.
They're neat because their personalities are so different.
Yeah.
And they all bring something unique to the table. I kind of say John, he's hip and cool, and Jody's a madman, and then Greg is very technical.
He is very technical, and I get excited every time because I'm not a technical guy. I'm just kind of throw a bunch of stuff at it and see what sticks. But I think my personality is also drawn to that, this is what we need, and you get perfection on the other end.
Yeah, perfection. If you want to learn, Greg's your guy.
I know, that's cool. We actually have a lot of our marketing meetings revolve around what you guys do. And I think just the personality and anyone I think what happens is sometimes backyard barbecue can be very standoffish in the sense, I don't know how to cook, I don't know how to do it. But having guys that are super personable, just like you, and just telling them hey, just get out there and do it, I think just brings people's anxiety about cooking down.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it's all about, right? Getting in the backyard. If you think about being a kid, I always think about this. Some of your best memories, they always have a grill and cooking around and spices flying and sauces flying. If you think about your memories, it almost brings, when you smell a barbecue, it almost brings back a pool or a lake, a story when you're growing up.
We say it's true fellowship. That's where it happens.
That's right.
Around a table, around a grill.
For sure.
Speaking of grills, so Recteq grills. So pellet, we don't have to get in all the details of the grills, but Tell us a little bit about before you started, kind of what's your background?
Yeah, man. It's this is a fun story, and this is a little different. I've been wanting to tell this story for a long time publicly.
The floor is yours, bro.
Okay,
Knock it out.
yeah, but no, I've always been a passionate griller. I can go back to first of all to understand my passion and how Recteq came to be. I kind of want to go back and start off by saying like. All the way back to high school.
Yeah.
I had kind of a dysfunctional family.
Okay.
My father was a little bit tough on me, a little bit abusive.
Okay.
And I actually, back when I was 17 and you're a genius, I quit high school.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know that.
That's crazy.
I was too smart for high school. Went straight and became valedictorian in my GED class. No, but no,
you heard it here first. Yeah.
But no, I quit high school, and it's funny. I like to tell this story and this part of it because and I'm not suggesting that my son. I want to make sure he finished school, and suggesting that's the right thing to do. But for me, ultimately, that proved to be the best decision of my life, and I'll explain here in a second. So from there, I went out and got a job. Ironically, I was a grill guy at a Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
Working, cooking the steaks and stuff for fajitas. And, I figured out real quick life was tough, right? It wasn't as easy as I thought. Maybe those teachers knew a little something.
The realness gets real pretty quick.
It hits really hard when you get that first. I was making $3.35 an hour, if I remember correctly. And working. And, you get that first paycheck and you realize Uncle Sam got a piece of it too. You say, uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I made a bad decision. So I was struggling to find my way. I knew that I wanted to do something big.
Yeah.
I always dreamed big.
Yeah.
I was always a dreamer, even when I was little.
Yeah.
And so, the next job I got after going through several jobs, won't bore you with all the details. I started selling vacuum cleaners door to door.
Okay.
So
like Electrolux?
I sold what was called a filter queen.
Okay,
like $2,000 vacuum cleaner.
All right, sweet.
And so when all my friends, and I've been so fortunate, I still have all the same friends all the way from elementary school.
Yeah.
But when they all went to college and became engineers and lawyers and all that stuff, I was door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman.
Yeah.
And I was born to sell vacuum cleaners, man. I tell people in my heart, I'm still a vacuum cleaner salesman. I sold 27 vacuum cleaners
quite a few.
in a month one time. We didn't call them vacuum cleaners, of course. They were air purification cleaning systems. They were $2,000. So,
which is why you can sell.
No, but at any rate, I did that, and for me, that was my education.
Yeah,
because I learned how to talk to different types of folks from every walk of life, whether it was an engineer, a doctor, or a carpenter. I was able to talk to them, and each one of those personalities of those people, you had to talk to them a little different. Engineer wanted all the specs and to really make sense of how it was built, and a carpenter more wanted to have fun and see that his home was going to be clean, whatever. So that was where I learned these sales skills. From there, and when I say sales skills, it's people skills, because that's all a good salesman is.
100% people.
It's just like
right.
they like people, and people like them back. And but I wanted to do more, and that's why I get to that point where I said dropping out of high school was the best thing. I never got a piece of paper that told me what I was worth.
Yeah.
And so often, and I think college is great, but I think that it shouldn't. But sometimes people take that piece of paper and they make it their life, and that piece of paper shouldn't tell you what you're worth. So I didn't have a piece of paper saying that I could fall back, make $60,000 a year, $70,000 a year. I had to claw my way and figure out something to make a better life for myself. And so I tried a bunch of things, and I was very successful with vacuums for quite some time. By the time I was 21, I had about 15 to 20 employees. Nice. And then from there, I opened a car lot, which I love the car business. I had a small car lot called Look and Call. And then in 2009, the bottom fell out. Yeah. You couldn't give away a car. Yeah. And you know how you have sometimes an idea kicking around, but it's very difficult in life to make a big change if everything's going okay.
Yes.
So I
know exactly.
I had a mortgage, a boat, a couple vacations a year, played golf a couple times a week, and it was hard. And so I had this grill idea kicking around forever, but I had this car lot that was pretty successful. And look and call auto sales. I always tell people it's look and call because I'm too lazy to sit here all day. But I was a one-man show. I'd go to the auction, buy the car, sit it out there, and people would call me.
Yeah.
But when the bottom fell out, you couldn't get somebody to crack a door on a car.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a car away.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on the couch in 09, just depressed, going, I'm going out of business, and there was nothing I could do about it. Nobody's showing up. And I looked over at my wife, and she was reading a magazine. I'll never forget. And I said, I had this idea kicking around for so many years to build a grill. If I don't do it now, swing for the fence. This is what I say. If I don't do it now, what do I have to lose? I'm failing anyways. Had nothing to lose. So I looked over at my wife and said, I'm going to build a grill, the ultimate pellet grill. And she said, what? I said, I'm going to build a grill in China. And she looks up from her magazine. She said, that's nice, honey.
I'll call the therapist.
Yeah. She's thinking, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
But in my head, I've been thinking about it a long time. And I said, we may end up in a single wide trailer. We'll be happy. I said, but I'm all in. And that's kind of what spawned Recteq. So I went to the drawing board, started making some calls, and I wanted to make the ultimate grill. I know I jumped around a bit, but I was a passionate griller.
Yeah.
My friends always picked at me because I always had a nice grill, no matter how broke I was.
Yeah.
My grill was badass. So,
cool.
Anyhow, and that's where I decided to make a grill. Like I said, I kept trying to find a way, and that was you're sitting there thinking things are so bad, and you're hard on yourself, but it ends up being the biggest blessing that ever happened to you.
Sometimes a lot of things happens out of desperation, whether it's really desperation or not, But so before we get into the story of like the grill and Recteq, all right, so you're sitting there, you're depressed, you're probably beating yourself up, trying to figure out how to like keep things going. Like as you like start thinking about this new project, which I know had already been in the back of your head,
right.
But like, what's your biggest fear at that moment?
Well, I guess the biggest fear is of course failure and taking care of your family.
Yeah.
And I had a newborn son at the time. Well, not newborn, I mean young son, and at the time, and you wanted to make him proud. You do everything for your family.
Oh yeah.
And so I guess that failure was your biggest fear, and that fear of not making that next mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And that's what holds a lot of people back. And I said, the best little saying I ever said to myself when I was about to get this journey started was, why not me? And I've heard all these success stories. I was huge on, listening to different success stories. And I was like, every single one of them, they took a risk. They put it all on the line at some point. Yeah. This crazy successful. And I'm like, everybody tells me that that I'm great at what I do, great salesperson. They love my attitude. My car lot was very customer oriented, the same way I kind of learned some things in there that, you can be on an honest used car salesman and have good customer service. So I was like, why not me? I'm going to put it all on the line. And so that's, the ultimate decision, but it's scary though. It's scary to risk it all. Yeah. But you got, I heard a guy one time, he said, if you're going to fail quick and just keep trying. There's nothing wrong.
Fail fast, fail quick. That's right. Here's the thing. I think if you're not failing, sometimes you're not trying. Like Recteq, not to skip forward, has been a huge success, but I guarantee throughout that success, there were many failures.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, I skip over those because they're not fun to talk about.
That's right. Well, yeah, but I'm gonna pull a couple out. But that's what I always say is like, I'm not necessarily, if I'm being honest with myself, it's not so much my fear of failure that I'm going to let myself down, but it's always that I'm going to let others down. Right. The truth is, others don't really care because they're so worried about letting themselves down. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're probably.
I think
exactly
we
right.
would make a lot more risky decisions if we weren't so worried about what everyone else thought.
It's a good point because that's all I worried about. I don't care for me.
Yeah. Well, because ultimately, if we just got to gut it out, we know we could provide.
Yeah.
So shoot, man, you could go back to selling vacuums.
That's right. I could do if I had to put food on the table, but
Well, what I would say from an outsider looking in, and I know you can sell. Like, believe me, you have sold a lot of grills. Do you even know how many grills you guys have sold?
I know millions of grills.
Millions of grills. Yeah. That's right. So, but I would say above your ability to sell, I think your heart for people is like what I always see come to the top. And I think that's why you could sell anything. It doesn't really matter. It could be If you're, at the distillery or the car wash, the Ray. Well,
Right.
it doesn't matter what it is, because the culture that you're going to build because of your heart for people is why I wanted to talk to you. That's what I absolutely
Yeah,
love.
I think it's important, and people can pick up on it if you care about the people that work for you, but care about the customer.
Yeah.
And my mission statement was simple at the beginning. We're going to build the ultimate grill, build it
Yeah.
like a tank, but we're going to have that what I called old school customer service.
Oh, yeah.
And I think everybody knows what that means. Back in the day, when before the big giant Walmarts and stores like
Yeah.
that, nothing wrong with them. But when folks walked down the small town, they had a shoe store and the barber, and everything was,
Yeah.
and that person cared deeply about his customers.
Yep.
And they knew him personally, had could talk to him, about anything,
Yeah.
not just business. So I wanted to bring that kind of customer service back, and it's truly resonated with people to the point that they're excited, and we have like almost a cult-like following.
No, you don't almost have a cult following. You have in the best sense of the word, you have a cult following.
Yeah,
I've been to Recteq Fest, and I've been to one of the first academies, and I was like, this is nuts. Like, people are driving from Washington.
Yeah.
I remember someone from Washington. I'm like, it's not even for game day. Like,
Yeah.
they're coming for academy.
We've had folks come. These two guys come from Alaska twice.
Yeah.
They brought me some halibut, and we've had people drive from Canada. The first Recteq Fest was interesting. In case people don't know, the Recteq Fest is just a celebration of our customers. We want to give back, so we have basically a big party with barbecue.
It's
and
customer service, like
customer
on a
service.
much larger
Yeah,
scale.
we
That's
do-
exactly what it is.
We
It's
do a
give
party
back.
and cook and have bands
Yeah.
and blow ups for the kids and face paintings, the whole nine. But at any rate, that's what Recteq Fest is. And the first one, I was like, I'll get there. We started at 10. I said, I'll get there around 11:30, 12 or something. It was on a Saturday, and it was our old location where you and I first met.
Yep.
And kind of a building was back in an industrial park. But when we pulled up, I said, "Oh, what's going on?" to my wife. She was with me. I'm like, "Our people aren't going to be able to get in here. There's so many cars out in the street." I was like, "There's nobody's going to be able to get in. Oh my God, this is a disaster." She said, "I think they're here for you guys." I said, "No, I said, there's no way they're out here all the way." But sure enough, there was cars, and of course you can't see the spot, but I guess I would say nearly half a mile to the main road, there was cars lined up for this to come celebrate this grill. And I was like, whoa, it's incredibly humbling and surreal at the same time. And just to see and one person came the night before and camped out in a tent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, we'll get you, a Holiday Inn Express or something.
Hey, listen, the one in Bethlehem is super nice. I said,
Primo.
I need your finest room for Ray.
Yeah, primo,
They
man.
said, they're all the same, but you can have it. Yeah. We give you the one with the view of the street. I'm like, okay, great.
But they folks came from all around. And they still do, and so it's really neat. It's always very humbling still to this day.
Yeah, it's not really neat. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
I know Jeremy and I, we went, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm still floored, like, every time we go there. And, like, you guys had live music the whole time. Like, Chef John and Jody are up on the stage. And, I mean, it was just so much fun. Greg, I don't know how much he cooked for that event.
Oh, I remember. I used to know the math on number of hot dogs and hamburgers alone.
And
it was
just to pull pork, we pulled pork for hours.
Yeah.
Like hours, just like people just kept coming through. But I remember sitting back, like I always try to take a second to like stop and look around and be like, first of all, there's more to it than sales. Like, there has to be more than the bottom line, or else it just doesn't get to where it is. And like, your heart for people is the reason like that vision is created, and that kind of event is great because it's a free event.
Yeah, free event, and we had about Columbia County has a division in the law enforcement that comes and helps with the parking. So they're pretty good at it. They do all big events, and they estimated last time there's 15,000 people there.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big event, and
That's so awesome. All right. Okay, so back to the early days.
Yep. So
Early days.
some of the failures. So originally, I was going to make this ultimate grill, and in fairness, I had a Traeger back, and that's where this. idea, I was just like, well, what, from a griller's perspective, I said, I built it. I said, I wish I could make these hinges a little stronger. I wish that was stainless steel. And so that's kind of what I did. I just set out to, keep some of the stuff that worked and make some of the things better for my product. And I made it, but then it took me 1 year to sell the first 90 grills.
Did it?
If you can imagine, 90 grills in 1 year.
So the 90 is is that like a container that came over?
One container.
Okay.
The first container, it holds 101 now because of the
way
packaging has gotten better. But anyways, it was 90 grills. Took me a year, and so 6 of them were demos. I mean, I knew where every grill was.
That's your money.
And it was funny. I stood in front of that wall of grills, but. So first thing I did was I started doing a barbecue class on Thursday nights.
Okay.
Very quickly that turned into the same people just coming to eat and a big party. And so I was working till after cleanup till midnight, and I would sell 0 Recteqs.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this isn't working. I went and knocked doors. I went back and getting back to your roots. I know how to knock a door and sell a vacuum. So I said, well, let me go knock doors with grills. True story here. Just because you said you wanted to drag out some of the things that didn't work, but you got to roll with the punches.
Absolutely.
So I parked a grill trailer at the front of a neighborhood and went and knocked doors and said, "Hi, I'm up at the front of the neighborhood today. I'm giving away free hot dogs. Stop by." I was knocking the doors before lunch, and I said, "I'm gonna go." I had the hot dogs on the Recteq. And so as they were leaving the neighborhood, I'm stopping, handing hot dogs and pitching the grills, trying to get them.
Like this is just one man band?
One man. I'm knocking doors, trying to sell hot dogs and or sell grills rather, giving away the hot dogs. And that was tough because things had changed since I was selling vacuums. Everybody is a little more
cautious when you're knocking doors,
especially knocking doors. A lot more cautious, and they think you're up to something. And really, I just really wanted to talk to them about new. But that wasn't working. I hired some salespeople to have them go give away hot dogs at Jiffy Lubes. Because I'm like, well, you got a captive audience. While they're getting their oil changed, I can give them a hot dog, and we can say that we had carloads of people pulling up for free hot dogs.
That's hilarious. Not even oil changes. So what year is this now?
This is 2011.
So 09, like things kind of
conceptually
goes, 7 and 8 things go crazy.
Right.
09, it's hard to sell a car, but you're still. What are you doing between 09 and 11? Are you still
just designing the Recteq?
Okay.
And I sold everything I had, and no paycheck.
Okay.
So I was just learning how to manufacture something overseas. I had no, I already said no education, especially to do this. So I started off with Craigslist ads and putting ads and say, hey, is there? Because originally I thought I was going to get it made over in America. I wanted to, and which, by the way, that's important. I love to touch on that subject. Everybody wants to make their product in America.
Absolutely.
But it's difficult to be competitive in the pricing. And just very quickly, I'd like to cover that. Ultimately, the goal is to have American jobs, and that's what Recteq has done. If we were made in America and it was 3 times the price, the product, we wouldn't have that many American jobs. So we're an American company through and through. But I got on Craigslist and I just started saying, hey, I'm trying to manufacture it. I wish I had these first emails because they were so poorly written.
Hilarious.
Oh, I would laugh so hard. I go, I'm trying to make a grill and I want some drawings. I didn't even say CAD drawings or anything. I didn't know the lingo. And well, sure enough, the first spot I went is I knew there was a lot of manufacturers that made car parts in Detroit. So I put it in that Craigslist in Detroit. And so I got a call from a guy. And he's like, what are you trying to do, man? And I tell him, and he says, oh, you're looking for AutoCAD drawings and this and that, this and that. I'm taking notes, right? So I go erase that ad. I write a little better ad, with some of the lingo. And sure enough, by about 10 calls, I'm talking like a pro about what I need, right? And my ads, and I'm starting getting some higher quality phone calls. So
the salesman kicks in.
So finally a guy calls me. He goes, hey, we're a design engineering firm. We can design this. I can also source it for you. Then, it's really, the ball really starts rolling. We're going to source this thing. I'm going to get it done. I send someone over to check out like 11 different factories, and we landed on one and started the prototype process from there. So it was just funny to start with Craigslist and do that. So then I guess I know we're skipping around a bit, but And then it took me that long time to sell the first 90. And what cracked the code. And I want to get to, I'll get there.
Dude, we got plenty of time.
Okay.
We'll sit here and talk for the whole day. I don't care.
I get excited about it.
I am like drawn in, like every word. I
Well,
love it.
there was a forum out there it was a bunch of guys that cooked with pellet grills. It was called, I don't even know if they still exist, but this was back, those forums were a lot more popular in 11. And this was one called Pellet Heads. And they were just a bunch of guys who loved barbecue and would argue
Backyard barbecue.
And they would argue about grills. And so I'm like, well, what's going on? Let me try a little post out here. So we put a post, actually Ron put a post on there, and man, the next day my phone rang, and there was some guy said, what is this grill? And I talked to him for about 30, 40 minutes and said, hey, I'm the owner, I luckily sold a few grills, and most of the grills that I sold at this point were just to my friends. They were nice enough to support me. And so all my buddies that went to college, and they all were,
hey, I think you gotta have your friends and family support
they went and they bought grills, and they're the best. So I talked to this guy 30, 40 minutes on the phone. He buys a grill, and I ends up selling 2 or 3 grills that day. At that time, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, man, what is that thing where they place ads online? I mean, this is how little I knew about online. And he goes, oh, you're talking about green. Google AdWords, it's called. I go, why don't we try some of that? And we wrote, I wrote an ad. I said, I went back to, what can I get people to call on? And I wrote an ad that said, don't make a Traeger mistake when you can own a Recteq. That was the tagline. Yeah. And so we bought the word Traeger. And that was working great. The next day I sold 7 grills. Dang. The phone started ringing. I was so busy. This was back that every grill I sold, I take a picture of the checks, text my buddy like, we got one more. And so
that's good.
He calls me, he goes, well, I guess that didn't work. I go, no, I sold 7. I didn't have time. I've been on the phone. There was no reviews or anything. So this time I had to talk 30, 40 minutes every time just to get them. And I started putting writing a note. Thank you for choosing Recteq. We won't let you down. Yeah. And I put my cell phone number on there. Well, people would call me and go, man, you put your cell phone number, handwritten note. Thank you so much. That means nobody does that anymore. Mm-hmm. To this day, we give my cell phone number to the customer. Yeah. And that's why I realized it made people understand that we took this seriously. Yeah. And so the Google AdWords, and then that was working great until I got a cease and desist letter from Traeger. And
the cease and desist we've received over the, you know what I mean? Like, we could probably have another podcast just on that.
Yeah, exactly. So because I was green, I didn't know any better, and you weren't allowed to put their trademark name in the ad. Yeah. So I changed that, and we still run this occasionally to don't make $1,000 mistake when you can own a Recteq. So I was able to work a workaround there. And we just started in every phone call. Before you know it, I had another person taking phone calls, and a third and a fourth, and 4 of us. And I was on the phone on the forklift, loading up grills, holding the phone, the cordless landlines, loading up trucks, shipping grills, and it just started snowballing from there. And we were off to the races, so to speak. Cool. But that was what we learned, the power of the internet. Oh yeah. And so I tell people, Ryan, I think if anybody has an idea, I have these 3 rules that I say, if you can say yes to 3 rules, which you have a viable business that you can grow. It's 3 rules. Does it appeal to the masses? Yep. Do people search on the internet for it? Mm. And do you bring something new to the table? Yep. You check those boxes. I thought about that as well. You're with your spices. Yeah. And so. If you can say yes to those 3 things with the power of the internet, and you're able to take care of your customers and get that message out that you're new to the table, can be as simple. If you take the pillow guy, he's a billionaire selling pillows. Yeah. And do people search on the internet for it? Yes. Yeah. Does it appeal to the masses? I don't know. A person doesn't have a pillow, right? Yeah. And what did he bring new to the table? A great night's sleep. Yeah. That's what he brought new, the best night's sleep ever. So really it doesn't have to be that drastic what you bring new to the table. It just needs to be something new.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. Is what I'm saying. It's just, it's not
people try to complicate it when the truth is it's not complicated.
Right.
But you got to do it, and you got to be consistent.
What we brought new to the table was customer service.
Yeah.
And, a better warranty, customer service, and built like a tank. And the cell phone number, which is the old school customer service.
I'm telling you, but that's one that, what's crazy is, so that was 2011. So Recteq is, I guess, essentially almost 15 years old, which is amazing. And if most people that, we've been talking about Recteq for the last 8-9 years, and like everyone, they're like, what kind of grill? And that doesn't mean that we don't talk about other grills,
Sure.
but what I do talk about is the customer service aspect. I don't know how many people like have told me like, Ray gave me his number.
Right.
And I'm like, well, did you call him? They're like, no, I don't want to call him. Like, but he gave me his, it was just the fact that like you cared that much that like,
Yeah.
if someone texts me, like I'm going to text them back, or if someone calls, like I want to make sure that we can answer their questions.
Sure.
Because there's nothing worse than like working all week. You got big plans for the weekend. You're going to cook for your family and your friends. And you just like, you can almost see everyone gathered around a table. And then you get to the point and there's a problem. And like all of a sudden, if you don't get an answer, like you think they don't care about me.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point is every Thanksgiving, every Christmas Eve, and every Christmas I get a few calls on the cell phone. And the reason why is, well, one, we're closed. And two, that it's always somebody that hasn't used their grill in a while. So maybe some rain got in it, something like that, got some pellets wet. So when millions of grills out there, inevitably you're going to have a few that are letting somebody down.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the first time I took a call on Christmas Eve, my phone rang and I said, hello, it's Ray Carnes. And when I answer that way, my wife knows it's a customer.
Yeah.
And she looks at me like rolls her eyes like, it's Christmas Eve. And I took that guy's call, got him. Sure enough, that particular call, I remember it, but it was wet pellets. We were able to clean his auger, get him up and running. I saved Christmas.
Yeah.
I looked at my wife afterwards. I said, that's a small price to pay. I said, it's a small price to pay. That guy was able to cook on his grill. He got me on the phone. And what did that customer do? We have the greatest customers on earth. I say it all the time, but he went online and he told that story. And you can't buy pub like that. And that wasn't my intention.
No, your intention is to help the
customer.
Yeah,
but I'm not. But he was so thankful that I took that call. And so to this day, every Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and Christmas, my phone's on and I take a couple calls. It always happens every time. Like I said, because we're closed and there's going to be somebody out there that's having a. One time, a customer was close enough. His auger motor was broken, and I had no quick fix. And I said, how far are you? He was about 30 minutes away. I said, you could come get my auger motor off my motor. He drove into my house and I took the motor off my grill and gave it to him. Yeah. And he went and told that story. He said, man, I just went to the owner's house and got his auger motor. But it was no big deal. I had 2 Recteqs and I was like, you're good to go. So
there's something in that. Like we always say,
it's
like
the little things.
It is. Our goal is to make you or whoever the fact is we're selling salt and sugar, right? There's like, yes, there's a kind of an idea behind the flavor profiles that we create, but it's a simple thing. But our goal is to make you or whoever the end user is the hero of their backyard.
Right.
But like Christmas Eve, when he's trying to be the hero, she's trying to be the hero, whatever, like even if you can't fix it, because the truth is we can't always fix it. Right. And that's the bad part.
Right.
But like, the fact that you're there, someone typically just need an outlet. They just want to be able to like express what's going on. And I think even if you can't fix it, that's what I tell people sometimes, like we'll have that with brine kits. Like it'll be the last minute or the post office will get rerouted or lose it. And I'm like, listen, I can't get you something in time, but like I'll walk you through a couple other ways that like we found will work. And even though I'm not answering their prayer, like, but sometimes it's just like listening.
That's right.
And that's, I think, what gets lost as if the customers aren't truly at the center, I think that gets lost.
That's right.
That's what I always love about you guys.
Yeah. And that's what you hit the nail on the head. The fact that you're a sounding board, you weren't able to make it right. And you're right. There's been times I'm like, I'm out of solutions.
You're in
here.
Michigan. I'm at Augusta. I don't know what you
do this now. And even then we've tried. There's been some miracles we've made happen where I said, "Where do you live?" And I'm like, "I know a Recteq fanatic there. I can get you some pellets or whatever the case may be." But but sometimes you can't. And the fact that you're able to listen and try and then give them some options, it means the world to the customer when they really think about, because there's not other things usually when they look around their home that they can call, get somebody on the horn that really cares about the call. These days you call, you know how it is. You're on somebody reading from a script.
Yeah.
And in order for us to keep that customer, that family type feel and customer service aspect, one of our policies at Recteq is to all of our customer service representatives, CSRs have own Recteqs.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool because when they're talking to the customer, they're not reading a script. They're talking to them about their experiences. Yep. And, we get calls all the time. They're like, I'm cooking a brisket. I don't know. And the guy on the phone will say, here's how I do my briskets. Yeah. It's not like he's reading the recipes. I like to do it this way. It's the personal touch. And they talk brisket, just like they're at the backyard having a cold beer.
That's right.
They're talking brisket, and so that customer service is...
that is the secret sauce, I think. It is. That's amazing. Yeah, that's what, I tell all of our people, no matter what, let's try to fix it. I got a buddy of mine. He's got a firewood company, Leroy Height. Cutting edge firewood. I probably should say that too. But we were at lunch one day and he was talking about something that happened. He's like, listen, our goal is to make them happy we messed up. Fix it so much so that they're like, well, heck yeah. And that really, and it hit me. And I was like, without verbalizing, that's what our goal is. We don't want to mess up. But the fact is, if you're my only customer, chances are I'm not going to screw up.
Right.
But I think as you get the numbers grow and grow and grow, you're just not going to nail it every time. Things are going to happen. Things are going to get in the way. But that's why every time an email comes through, it happened yesterday. I was out for a walk. Email came through and it's like, what are you doing? I was like, let me just respond to this real quick. It'll take 2 minutes.
Right.
And the guy responded back. He's like, oh my gosh, why you responded immediately? I'm like, well, you had a problem. I couldn't fix it, but I knew we couldn't get started fixing it until we addressed it.
That's right.
And I think that's ultimately what it is. Knowing that we're going to screw up.
Yeah.
But we want to make it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that line your friend said, and we always say under promise, over deliver, but that's, not ours, but that's the type of thing you want them to leave knowing that we cared. And every night before I go to bed, I look and see if I have any final messages. Respond. Last night, 10:30. I was going to look at my phone, but I was talking to a guy last night. He texted me this morning and said, hey, man, I really appreciate not many owners will talk to you at 10:30 at night. Yeah. I didn't even realize it was 10:30. I was just about to go to sleep.
You're like, if I knew what time it was, I wouldn't either.
But you learn, like you said, let me check this email real quick. Yeah. You learn how to do it on I'll answer somebody at a red light. Yeah. On vacation, I take 2 or 3 hours. I literally will respond to customers 365. I haven't had a day off since Recteq started. Yeah. You know what I mean? I take a break. I go on vacations, but I'll spend an hour or two each day talking to my customers and responding to them. And there's not many companies to do that. And I'm telling you, the customers will reward you for it because they're starving for customer service. When I go on a bad customer service call, I just look and laugh and I go, no wonder our customers are so happy. Yes. Because this is horrible.
That's horrible. When we first started, I was like, so when we started sending out the seasonings, when people would order them online, I immediately got thank you cards. And I think I ran to Publix or Walmart or something and just grabbed some regular stock cards. And I was like, the first orders coming through, I wrote it out and people started getting them. They're like, oh my gosh, a handwritten thank you card.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? I'm like, the way I see it is someone worked hard. They used their own money to go at lanesbarbecue.com, a company they probably never even heard of. Right. Spend the money and then when it gets to them, they're going to cook something for their family. They're going to take pictures. They're going to tell their friends about it. The least we can do
is take a second.
And people are like, yeah, but as you scale, there's no way you can do it. I'm like, we can hire more people.
Yeah.
And to this day, every single order that goes out has a handwritten thing.
Man, that is awesome.
And that's it until if I'm not here, please guys, please just write thank you cards.
So it's something stopped for us the thank you letters for each order because everything goes down because when they place the order now, it goes down to the warehouse in different spots. And so it's all digital now.
Yeah.
And I said, well, no, we're still going to do it. They said, Ray, here's what it's going to take. If we do a letter in each one, they're going to have to go out of their seat, go down to the warehouse. They're going to have to find the folder, pull
like
the
they're
folder.
getting their steps.
And it really became where it was impossible
I'm sure.
but unfortunately,
we're all in the same building. It makes it very easy.
Yeah.
So I guess until we're not, I'll have to, I tell you what, if we come back and things have changed, then I'll apologize. But from now, it's like, that's what's happening. I have very, very few things, and I'm like, this is it.
I said the same thing, but I appreciate, I love hearing you say that because it was the system change that made it where we couldn't anymore. But they have my cell phone number still, so if you want to thank me, you call me, I'll thank you.
Yeah, I will tell you, I don't put my cell phone number on the thank you card. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and I'm not writing them. So, like, someone's writing them, but it is happening.
Well, if they have a problem, we do send a note apologizing, but because we have to go down there and ship a single item. But when the full big orders that come in online, it just is a tough process because it's in a different area of the building.
Yeah. I love the fact though that you still give out your cell phone number.
That's it's fun. It's most people don't abuse it. I mean, very rarely. Every now and then I'll get a guy maybe had a few too many on Friday night.
Yeah.
And he wants to know how to cook hamburgers or something. But again, I tell my wife, small price to pay. That guy's having a ball. Sometimes they'll call to flex a little bit. Like, I'll call the owner right now. I'll take the call.
Then you just made them the hero.
Yeah, they're the hero, and I'm like, it's a small price to pay. But for the most part, when folks call, I know they really need help, and that's why they have it. So I'm glad they're calling. I'm glad they're using. They always say, I'm so sorry to bother you. I'll have West Coast calls, so they'll come awful late sometimes. Yeah. And I'm saying, I put my phone on silent when I go to sleep. So if I answer, I'm awake. And I said, you're not bothering me. That's why you have the number. And it like I said earlier, it resonates with people. And I encourage anybody that's got a new business to make yourself accessible because in this day and age, it'll go a long way with the customers.
People want connection.
Sure.
Like, and I think now, even if it's just like, now people just go online and they just type into some random queue that's just what they feel is just going to someone who's just answering questions. And I think if they see you, whether on, videos, I think just be able to connect your face, your personality, your brand to that, I think just means a ton.
Yeah.
All right. So early years. So you sold, it took you a year to sell the first 90.
That's right.
All right. And then, so what are some of the other challenges that you guys face? Just trying to grow a brand.
So when we finally did, crack the code, then it just becomes money because you're selling grills and you, so you have to pay for the grill, half of the grill to get it started being built. Then it's going to be 30 days on the water. Yeah. So you almost, when you sell a grill, have to buy 3. You have to, get one that started. You have to have one on the water, and you have to have one there to sell. Yeah. So building your company to a point where your sales are enough to get over that hump, where you've got enough money coming in where you don't run out of grills. We ran out of grills every year after that first year. First year I haven't done anything to run out, but after that first year we ran out of grills every year. I think the first 6 or 7 years we just couldn't keep
cash
up
flow
with demand.
is crazy.
Cash flow,
especially when you're talking international. We deal some of that with Australia. And just, you've got stuff on the water, so they can't sell it, and we don't have it.
That's right.
And so you're in this like weird area.
We wouldn't have made it. My father-in-law, both sides of our family. Ron was my partner. His father-in-law, my father-in-law, both gave us a loan to help bridge that little bit of a gap. That was really nice. They gave us an interest-only loan, and I remember his face. When I paid him back, he was so proud because he'd loaned so many people, so many of those little grandkids of his money. And my father-in-law was so proud when I gave him that check and paid him back. I was so proud, And he was like,
absolutely.
He called his financial
Not to
guy.
mention your wife was probably like, thank goodness,
like,
man, that would have been a bad conversation,
Yeah. I wouldn't even ask him. We needed it earlier. I wasn't, I wouldn't even ask him until I knew we were off to the races. Yeah. We had something special. We could recognize that. And so I asked him, and he said he was proud to do it, but rest in peace.
Cool. Well, speaking of your wife, tell us a little bit about your family. So
I've been married for 24 years now, and to Beth, and I have one son. Okay. He was born in 2000, He's going on 24, and he works down at the distillery on the assembly line. My wife was she's a nurse, but she worked in oncology for GlaxoSmithKline. She was instrumental in helping me succeed because I went 2 years without a paycheck. Yeah. So I remember Beth leaving when she had to go out of town for work, leaving $20 on the counter for me and Colton for dinner.
Yeah, you're like, figure it out.
Yeah, here's $20. And but she, it was funny when Recteq first started taking off. Her company merged and they laid off like 200 people to go. You know how companies do, just go with younger folks. I guess lower that payroll. The bean counters got to them, but she said, "Ray, what are we gonna do?" I said, "I think we're fine." I said, "I was like, we're killing it right now. We're starting to." I said, "Just retire." And so she's retired now. And
and how many years ago was that?
So that was probably, and I'm guessing at this, that was probably in about 2013.
Okay. So, I mean, you're like, you were hockey sticking.
It was going
like, it
fast.
Was up. Yeah. Okay.
We and I don't remember all the years, but I'll give you. We did 80,000 in sales the first year.
That was the 90 girls.
Yeah, we did 80, 600,000, 3 million, 6 million, 12 million. That's the first 5 years. So just rounding.
That's crazy.
So we've been a long way since then. So
that's amazing.
It was going fast.
That's so cool. That's so cool. All right, so you had all those years, like, and it just continued. Like, it didn't stop.
No, it didn't stop. No, it kept on. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and we recently in 21 we sold a portion of the company to a private equity firm. I can talk a little bit about that if you like.
Yeah, we'd love to. I think anything you're willing to share, our listeners are going to love to hear. I think it's just the words of wisdom so far that I'm like taking mental notes. I can't wait to like listen back. I'm like, yep, put that one on Instagram. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's like all the little nuggets that I think you probably take for granted just because it's in your natural like instincts. But I think most people don't think the way you think.
Well, thank you. I'll tell you another thing I meant to say a second ago. Another thing that we did that was really cool as far as that customer service aspect is, because I was so active with talking to the customers, I had a real good pulse of the business and what was new and what the customers wanted. And I listened to them. I listened to that feedback and we changed the product slightly. Yeah. Like we had wires that were exposed on the Recteq, and inevitably every year dogs would get under there with that delicious barbecue smell and destroy the wires. And we covered it under warranty. And people, that's another thing. It blew people's mind. I would say, we're going to cover that. I would see it. They'd post a picture and think that I'm going to have to buy a new wiring harness. We said, we have a puppy warranty. We're going to cover that. And they're like, oh man, they just covered this under warranty. My dog destroyed it. But we did that with online a lot with what I call viral opportunities. If we saw something out there that was the right thing to do, we did it without them calling us. Yeah. And that really went a long way. I saw like people that were in hurricanes and floods and their Recteq, and they would put a picture on the barbecue forum like my Recteq is. Some of the fires, they would take a picture and say the Recteq's the only thing standing. Yeah, because it's made with heat. But I mean, it was ruined, but it was standing. But we would, even though their insurance was going to cover it, we would send them a new grill away, and that really resonated with people. I have one story I share. I didn't share this, and I didn't do this ever to share. He called me and said, "I want you to share this story. I want to make sure I make that clear." Yeah. And I get emotional when I tell this story sometimes. But so this one guy in Illinois, he's a fireman, and his house burnt down. Yeah. I was on a forum. We were on a ski trip, and I was just reading this barbecue forum because I used to go away from just. I didn't want to hear just what people that were preaching. Recteq. I wanted to hear up, like I wanted to hear from other, and he was just on this other forum, and he was talking about how he didn't know if he made this just heart wrenching post. How he didn't know if he'd ever be able to barbecue again because that's what he did with his son. Yeah, and he lost his son in a house fire, and they were both firemen. And he said, so I don't think I'll be able to do it. So I go on, send him a message. I say, hey man, I know your son would want you to barbecue still. Yeah. I said, I bet you'll feel closer to him if you do this. And I said, I'm going to send you the whole setup. We used to have what's called the kitchen sink.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And so kitchen sink, we got everything but kitchen sink. I said, I'm sending you a kitchen sink bundle. And just trust me. He didn't even know who Recteq was.
Yeah.
His name's Marcus Woods. And he runs Recteq Fans of Illinois now to this day. So he started his own Recteq fan page after. But
which means he is willing.
I sent him a Recteq, and I had custom grates made with his son's helmet, with his badge number and his son's name on one side, and sent it to him. And so that story went viral with people talking about, because I didn't share it. I just did that. You do the right thing when nobody's looking, right? And it was one of those
no matter
things.
how much it hurts.
And here I am talking about it. So that's why I preferenced it with saying he told me to tell the story. But, there's a lot of stories like that Recteq has done. And so I think that you can do a lot of things if you do what's right and do the right thing for your customers. And like I said, when nobody's looking, do the right thing. So we did a lot of that, and I'm glad I made through that without choking up, because it really was emotional for me. He's made me a chair out of fire hoses, a bench, and it's at my ranch. So he's come to academies and Recteq Fest and all that good stuff. So he's still a fan to this day. But anyhow, moving forward to the private equity thing, that's a really big deal. In January of 21, we closed the deal. COVID happened, which Recteq really exploded that year. People were at home, so they're like, well, I'm going to have some good food if I'm stuck at home.
What I will say is, and for you, those you don't know, we make all the Recteq seasonings, and we can tell how your business went by like the orders as they come in. And you're not even a seasoning company, you're a grill company, but like a lot of those kitchen sink packages and stuff came with like a case.
That's right.
Like a set of rubs. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh my God. I talked to Stevie, I was like, bro, what's going on? He's like, everyone's home cooking.
Yeah.
And they don't have anything to cook on.
And a lot of people ran out of inventory.
Yeah.
And it was funny, Trump was running, and he was talking about tariffs. And we got nervous about the tariffs. And so we stocked up on grills. And then the tariffs never happened. You couldn't walk in our warehouse. There were so many grills. We were like, so end up we looked like geniuses, because COVID happened. And we had grills for everybody, and they didn't have to wait. So that was a huge time for us. But I was sitting at home, and although that was good for us, I knew of companies that it was destroyed them.
Yeah.
And, plenty of restaurants and stuff like that. And there was one company in particular, I can't remember the name of it, but they were worth $1 billion. They went to zero during COVID. They did the indoor gyms, like the monkey, the gyms for the kids, the trampolines. Well, they were gone.
Yeah.
So this guy went
Monkey Joe's. Or something
it was like a Monkey
that?
Joe's. That's why I say I can't remember that, but it wasn't Monkey Joe's.
Got it.
But they had $1 billion company that went to zero, and I was sitting there going, okay, what if that was unforeseen, out of nowhere, out of left field? COVID was. I said, what if something came along that didn't help us, and you were the other end of the deal? And I just said, I want to take some chips off the table. And that's what private equity firms are, they have a conglomerate of investors that they invest money, and they're in for the long play. And they'll come in and take a company like ours and buy a portion of it, and then sit on it and let the company grow and grow the money for the investors. And so we sold a portion of the company. Our valuation was hundreds of millions of dollars, I can say. And so we sold a portion to take some chips off the table in 21. So that's been an experience too, going through that process of because they come in and put a lot more structure in place. That we were, like I said,
from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you're really thinking about the customers and selling grills, right?
Right.
And so like structure, like for me, does not come natural. In fact, I think I drive our team crazy because I'm not process driven.
No,
like,
they called me a wrecking ball.
Yeah,
they called me a wrecking ball. My employees, like
I
in a loving way.
destroy everything that they want to build. You know what I mean? And so like I get it. Like so they come in and they want to put
because they have to put something that's a little more. We would have guys that would be in the warehouse and on the phone, and they would go, help with, something outside, maintenance or something. So they just put a little more structure, and we needed that. In fairness, I had no formal training, no education, no college education. And so it was a little bit messy. And every day when I met with my guys, I said, this is all new, because every single day it's the biggest company I've ever owned.
Yeah.
So every day I've never had a company. So we needed a little more structure, and they've provided that and helped us really put that in place, and hopefully take Recteq to even bigger places in the future. So we gave up some ownership to provide that structure in there, and they sent some professionals. And we have an org chart.
Yeah.
We never had that. I'm laughing because
no, it's funny. So I had a guy. So we actually just hired a COO to come in, and he's like, "Send me your org chart." And I was like, "Well, I don't have an org chart." I said, well, "Why don't we meet up and we'll do it together?" He's like, "Wait, you don't have an org chart?" I was like, "That's why you're coming in."
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have one. No one knows what they're supposed to do or what their role is. But what I will say for our team, and I think it's the same for your team, is no one had to know in that stage, because everyone was there and they were giving it everything they had. But there does come a point when, like, okay, now it's like, so there's this book called Predictable Success, and it goes through like the 7 or 8 stages of a business. And like the first is your startup, then it's fun. Like everyone's having a great time, everyone's doing everything. And then we're in what we're in now, which is whitewater. And that's where like everything's crazy. Nothing works the way it used to work. You're breaking all your systems. Like Jeremy and I will sit down and talk, and he's like, that doesn't work anymore. Right. And I'm like, well, what do we do? That's right. And we're like, well, let's figure it out. But we just don't know. Everyone always, like Karen and Thor and Jeremy, like they just jumped in and they just got stuff done.
That's
like,
right.
That's it. And that was our team, and that was the heart behind it, But as it grows, like you're gonna kill your people that way. And that's what always scares me, is like, what I don't want is to burn someone out because they're just running around like crazy because there's no structure in place.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's so funny. It's a delicate situation because you don't want to ruin what made it special. And what made us special is we wore a lot of hats, and everybody was, like you said, jumping in and ready to make it succeed. But you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, that. And I was just throwing people at problems. Yeah, we were growing so fast. When we were doing about over 120 million a year, and that was really getting confusing for me, because it used to be I could solve a problem. Like I was like, just get 3 more people. I'd tell Stevie, get 3 more people. Yeah, and it's not a problem. Just let's get some manpower on it.
Put bodies on it.
Yeah, put bodies on it. Get 2 more forklifts and 3 more people. Do it. But then it gets to a point that that's not always the solution, and that's where we were. So it's really, and we're settling in right now. We're starting to. It was tough adjustment for us.
I can only imagine. It's got to be tough.
It really was tough, and especially when it's my baby, and my blood, sweat, and tears are in it. I'm putting up a fight, and I kind of surrendered and realized there is a method to their madness. Yeah. I still say we have too many meetings. In the corporate world, they have meetings about the meetings they're not ready for. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. But which
is why it's hard to get stuff done.
Yeah, they have too many meetings. I'm going to go on record to say that right now. Too many meetings.
That'll be the name of the podcast. Yeah.
But right now we're settling in, and we're laser focused on growing the company. We just recently we're going to Ace Hardware, so that's our first brick and mortar and that thing, and in that direction. So we feel like that's not, some of our competitors will give anybody that can fog a mirror gets a grill. Yeah, and we're not going that route. Ace Hardware is a locally owned company that can provide another level potentially of customer service. Yeah. And they assemble the grills for free, that sort of thing. So we're that, and we're in there, and Shields. I'd like to tell a quick story about your spices. Yeah, I loved when.
Is it a good one?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Amazing. Yeah, tell away. Tell them a couple.
No, Ryan, when he came to me, I had a line of spices. Do you remember this?
Yes, I very much remember.
We were growing so fast, like we've talked about. It was like the last thing on my mind was like, let's just have some spices. They taste fine, they're good, and we had this line, and we were doing fine, and we had some spices to put with the grill. And he had, I guess, a mutual friend.
It was me and Brian.
Okay, I kept hearing this name, Ryan. He wants to taste it. Yeah. I was like, I don't have time to taste these spices. I don't have time. Finally, somehow, I just remember that's how wide open you were. It's like you hear this little chirping over here about this guy named Ryan.
I said, hey, can we bring you guys lunch?
Yeah, I think that's what you
did. Yeah.
So he finally got in there. I said, all right. I said, I'm just going to tell you up front. I don't know if you remember this. This is how
it's very, I really remember. But I remember you telling me and me thinking like, okay.
Yeah. You
got it.
You said, that's no problem. I said, I'm just going to tell you, I'm happy with what we're using. He hasn't done anything wrong. I'm pretty loyal. The spices are good. He said, well, just try it. I said, all right, let's do it. And so this is our barbecue rub, and then Ryan gives me his, and I taste it, and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty damn good.
We brought brisket and pork and chicken, and you're like,
food.
hey, let's go back to the office and talk. And I was like, got it.
It was another level good. So while we're on here, and I know this isn't about selling product, but you have an incredible product.
Thank you.
And it was enough that I went from going, no way, I'm changing. And because, there's a lot of work when you change a product. You got to change the SKUs. You got to get IT involved. It's not just as simple as people think. We're like, why don't you put a new bolt over? You're like, okay, buddy. Yeah. You're talking about $500,000 worth of stuff right now. But when
it's
you get
a lot of people that have to get involved over something.
But they were so good that that day I was like, we're doing whatever we got to do, and we changed spices. And,
I know. I remember you said, and this
since.
is the price that we pay. Can you do that? And I said, yeah, of course.
I probably messed up.
No, Brian and I got in the car. He's like, you can't do that. And I was like, now we have to find a way. But I knew that. I was like, yeah, in our current structure, we can't do that. But I guarantee, like, with the volume that you guys are going to bring in, that it will change our business and change the way we think. And that's ultimately what that was.
Yeah, I remember I believe in transparency also. Yeah. I think that you could get a lot more done and when you're just honest with folks. And I remember sliding you over the price sheet and showing you, say this, like I wasn't BSing you. I'm like, look,
this is what I pay. Can you do this? If you can do this, we will switch. And I said, we can do it. You said, okay.
Well, I never knew that part that you didn't. You're like, yeah, we'll do it.
No, but it's one of those things. And so I think a lot of times fear can drive those decisions. And what I say is like, let's say yes. And then it's my job or our job to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And like how to do it successfully. Because at the end of the day, I don't ever want you to feel that. What I want you to feel is like the joy from it. Like, as Jody and them are doing those recipes and you get to eat that food and you're like, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's competition.
Because you're not a seasoning company.
That's right.
But you are a brand.
That's right.
And that's what I was telling you is like, listen, you're an amazing brand. And now you can take it from the outside inside and you got seasonings on their counter. You know what I mean? That's right. It's just that little thing that you can do. And so that was a huge opportunity. In fact, we started a co-packing line of the business because of you guys.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what kicked it all off.
Well, good.
So that's why I tell you were without even knowing it, you were very instrumental in like the way that our business is set up from a customer service standpoint to, really our team operates a lot like your team did. I wouldn't even say back in those days, like we were at an event, Jeremy and I were down in Key West in last September for an event for W Sauce, and they put on. And the first person I see when I get to the hotel is Jody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jody, what are you doing, man? He's like, bro, there's no other place I'd rather be right now. But that's it. Like it's the leadership. Like those guys want to be everywhere they can to spread the name of Recteq.
Yep.
And I think that's an amazing thing. So I know private equity comes in, it's got to feel different. But I would say is you guys have that special sauce. Like from the outside, like luckily I don't have to attend your meetings. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in, it still feels, for the end user,
right? Awesome.
Yeah. Like you guys care about the customer, which I know you do. That's how you're going to continue to grow. But that's good, man. This has been so great.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the story. I haven't ever really told the whole story all the way back to high school.
I cannot believe. So you said this is the first podcast you've done?
First podcast. I've done like radio interviews and I've done, I've been live on the news and that sort of thing, but I've never done a podcast.
Well, I would say live on the news is probably like crazier than this. We just get to sit in a room and just get to talk. Yeah. But all right, so
this is pretty chill.
What is next? Well, you can say what is next for Recteq and what's next for Ray.
So for Recteq, it's just we're planning, like I said, the brick and mortar. We're giving that a shot. So we're going to try to get into Ace Hardwares and Shields, but in some mom and pop shops. Anybody we feel can still keep that customer relationship, and they don't feel like they've lost it. You know,
Yeah.
we've gone like we're sellouts,
Sure.
And I think if you're in every big box store, you can get that feeling, and that they're everywhere. They don't care about their customer. We still want to have be able to help the customer, and I think we can do that with the Ace and the Shields, and maybe some. You know how these little towns have a local.
We're in them.
Okay, yeah, local.
That's kind of been our focus from day one.
Yeah. So that's what we're headed for Recteq. We've got some new products in the pipeline for Recteq that we're going to introduce. I can't really talk about yet, but just some new technology coming.
That's awesome.
It's down the road, but it's not anything that competes with the current lineup. So people get real nervous about buying. It's nothing like that.
But the vision hasn't changed.
The
Still
vision,
big.
Vision hasn't changed. Yeah. And then of course for me is I really want to spend some more time. I got two beautiful grandkids, Cal and Channing, and so the more time I can spend with them. So I'm working a little less and less, trying to delegate a little more, and just spend some time at home, spend some time with my family more. And we purchased a home in Turks and Caicos, and
which we should do a podcast round 2, and we can do that there.
Yeah,
Do you think so, guys?
know, all joke aside, I'd love to have you. We love to have new people down there. You ought to go.
Well, I think we're the right people for it. You know,
but we're going there in April, and we're going to try to spend more and more time there. We love that island. So
that's cool. All right, so. Just a quick tip for someone who's listening to this, they're inspired by the story. They're like, oh my gosh, I have all these ideas. What is like one tip that you would say, all right, you're going to leave comfort. I'm a retired insurance salesman. So like I had to leave that comfort of a book of business to go into something new. But what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to take that leap? Because it is a leap. You know?
I would say, don't, within reason, make sure you talk your idea out, and you're going to have haters no matter what. Yeah. So don't let the haters detract, but make sure you have talk to some other business owners. If you have a viable idea, my advice is take the risk, swing for the fences. We said it earlier, fail fast if you fail. And if you fail, there's no shame in that. Yeah. If you don't fail, you're doing something wrong, because everybody has failed. Get up, do it again. I failed many times before Recteq. I've been broke many times over again. I've slept in a car back in the day. And so there's nothing wrong with failing. And if you don't try, you won't know. I would rather fail and fail than not try. And so
that is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Is not trying.
Being on your deathbed and say, I could have, should have, would have, and all that wouldn't be fun. So have fun. You only got one shot at this part of life, and give it your all. And like I said, my favorite thing I ever said to me is, "Why not me?" And I meant that. It was like, "Why not me?" I know you see these guys. It's just a regular old guy like you. And he made it because he put it all on the line. So my advice: take the risk, put it all on the line. That's cool. And you never know, because it should be happy, man. Chase your dreams.
Well, I know I personally can thank you for taking the risk. So you have bettered our game in the backyard. I know all the people that are listening who either have Recteqs or hopefully will soon have a Recteq. Just love it. I think the passion that you put into the people and the product comes out when you're cooking. Even like on the grill, I was doing something the other night on a bull. And I remember, like, I always get drawn back to like just seeing you. Really, you said it's funny. You said it earlier. You're on a forklift on the phone, like doing something. I was like, the first time I was there, that's exactly what he was doing. And I remember thinking, they don't ever let me on a forklift. But anyway, so thank you for just being you, for coming and telling your story. This has been amazing. Man. Tell everyone, like, on social media where they can. I know recteq.com, but where can they find you, like, and some of the projects you're working on?
Yeah, so you can mainly, I'm active on Facebook, which is Recteq's Facebook page. We have a Second City beverage. Okay. You spell out Second City, SECOND. And then also Ray's Car Wash. If you're ever in the CSRA, check out the car washes right off the interstate. So we're going to be building a chain of car washes.
That's
as
awesome,
well.
man.
So,
that's cool.
And I'd like to just take a second to thank you for all the support you've given us. Your product is incredible, and you guys have always stepped up. And sometimes around the holidays, we've been time crunches. You've always went the extra mile to make it work for us.
I always tell Stevie, he's like, "Oh, guy, I got a big one for you." I was like, "We're ready, bro." He's like, "Are you really?" I'm like, "Nope, but you're gonna think we are, and we're gonna do whatever we have to." Yeah, we're gonna do whatever we have to do because at the end of the day, like, it's about what happens around the table, and that's really what we want it to be. It's not you, it's not me. It's like those families that are gonna like cook, be the hero of their backyard, and like the fellowship that happens around 100%. The table. And so that's really what it's all about. So
100%.
Ray, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm a guy would have been a whore. We'd have to start over. If you guys are listening, thank you so much. Listen, we don't do any advertising, so like share this, rate it 5 stars. We could use that, write a review, and just tell everyone you know about it. So thank you so much for checking out. We'll see you soon.
Take care.